series. Yes, you are seeing me on my channel, and this is the first live stream over here, and it's giving me a whole bunch of prompts. Okay, there we go. All right, it's one of those things like first day of the lake on this particular one. Hey, thank you for hanging out with me. Hey, I'm Justin from Anoa Guy Bicycles, and we are on this old bike series, and we are featuring a Klein Adept race, a mountain bike from the early 2000s. And I was actually working in a Klein dealer when these came out, which was pretty cool. I remember going to the show and seeing a whole bunch of nice little features that they have in the frame building of this particular one. Actually, it's made in Waterloo, Wisconsin. Actually, this one was made in Chehalis, I believe. So, Chehalis, Washington. Oops, came out of the frame series. Out of Chehalis, Washington. So, Chehalis, Washington was the birthplace of Klein Bikes from Gary Klein, and he got into some financial troubles, and Trek needed somebody to teach them how to basically build bikes. I mean, weld bikes, that's what I should say. Welding frames and so forth. Reason being is everything before that was bonded. So in any case, this is what we're looking at. Got a beautiful Klein. This particular paint job is amazing. Get you a little bit better picture here. So what I'm doing is I'm stripping the parts off of it, getting ready to do the ultrasonic cleaning. And it does have internal routing on the top tube here where it is crossed over. I don't know if they did that. That was kind of like a specialized thing with the crossing of the shifters. But in any case, regardless, you need to put a cable in there. Especially I'm going to be doing detailing the frame and detailing and polishing. Basically I'm cleaning, then polishing, correcting, making it beautiful, then slapping some good high quality ceramic coating on top of this to protect it from UV protection, water being, helping shedding all the dirt, all those good things. So in any case, this has LXXT componentry, 9-speed system, so that kind of helps you date the process. The headset on this guy definitely needs a little bit of help. Either need to be taken apart, clean, and put back together. This has old school bar ends. I'm gonna ditch those. We got some nice newer grips, because grips are usually something that is a great upgrade, which is these guys here. Found some with like some fun coloring to it, so it might match the actual paint. Not really sure. It says silicone grip. Might be good, might be not. We'll find out. We'll take also a new or old, actually probably a new chain on this guy and do a wax on it as well. So we're doing all the modern day processes of tuning up the bike and ceramic coating the frame and waxing the drivetrain. And it'll be a stellar bike. It did have a wheel set which did not match, so I had a custom wheel set built, 26-inch with some really nice high-end spokes with a really nice high-end hub, disc brake compatible, because this is a disc brake compatible bike even though it's set up currently with V-brakes. If I sell this bike, I want to give that option to that new customer who's going to buy this. Either they want to switch over to disc, they can. They'll have the wheel set and they'll have the mounts, so all they have to do is buy the disc system and then install it themselves, and the wheels are all ready to go for them. This did come tubeless setup, so I bought some tubes. Those are going to be coming in tomorrow, I believe, and I'll probably maybe do a live stream on that, just installing the tubeless tires on these awesome wheels. Also, I got these wheels from Bicycle Wheel Warehouse in California. They do a lot of rim brake wheels still. And if you're looking for a wheel set without breaking the bank and something that you either have custom built up to what spokes, hubs, and rim that you would like, or they do have some pre-built, ready to go wheel sets too. It's really a go-to for those who still have the classic rides that have rim brake systems, although they do disc brake as well, obviously. In any case, really high quality. They'd use the yesteryear classic frame building techniques and use them on the new products of today. Real good stuff. Vetted materials, great company. So in any case, that's a great way to look at. I'll have a link below after watching this for you to take a look at and see if it's something that you're looking forward to. So got the grips, got those in, gonna ditch these off. I need to take the shifters off. What's going on with these shifters, which is pretty common problem with a lot of these older shifting systems with Shimano, because they age, and when they age, there's grease inside that hardens, and once that hardens, it becomes a bear to, it just becomes dead. Like there's nothing to these, they just died. So what you want to do is you're gonna have to take it off the bike to make it easier. If you don't have the opportunity to do that, get the bike in a place where you can basically flush it out with hot scalding water under pressure, to some level of pressure. Reason being is that will help break up that old grease, and then you could replenish it. I prefer the Tri-Flow Superior Lube. That seems to work really well. There's also a foam version spray, which I use for shifters because it gets all in there and coats all those little mechanisms and makes it super smooth, that kind of thing. So in order to get the shifter brake lever off, I have to basically take all the cobwebs out first and cables, and need to grab, where'd my three-way go? Whoa, what's going on? Where's my three-way? In any case, I could use just one of these. Oh, that one's gone too. Oh, there it is. I got projects on projects going on, so quite busy indeed. So in any case, so this old bike is basically a play off of this old house, but a bigger channel, I Know a Guy Bicycles, has become more of a topic industry channel, more current, well, I would say current, but more current-ish. So I made this little bike for just working on classic bikes and tips and tricks and things like that for all of us that still, there you have a place and you don't have to worry about all the industry stuff, kind of stuff I'm talking about. So give it a home. I'd say it probably more compats or goes up along the same platform as Bike Farmer, which essentially he and I came out at the same time, and his successes were basically working a tune-up and stuff, but he also is pretty much of a character, so some people just are not really melding with his personality, which is fine, and some people love him, which obviously a lot of people love him. Not to take anything away from him, I'm just doing my own thing, and believe it or not, there's enough space for lots of us to work on bikes, because some people just can't get enough content about working on older classic bikes, just kind of like cars. So, I mean, it's way different than cars, but you know what I mean. So here we are. And he coins himself as the Bob Ross of bike mechanics. He has like that Bob Ross feel to him. Happy clouds and everything else. Well, maybe not so happy clouds, but anyway. I'm more of this old house kind of thing, like, let's fix this up and see what happens. A little more of a modern twist is like, okay, well, we're gonna demo this wall and put in a bathroom, and oh, we got structural damage and asbestos, and we got to do all that, you know. There's not asbestos on bikes, at least I don't think so. So you're looking at the shifter here. I like doing this too. It's ultrasonic cleaning is what I usually do. I have ultrasonic cleaner tucked away in the corner over there. And actually I need to turn the space heater off. I'm in a garage. So I'm literally in a garage working on bikes. Been in the industry for 35 years. This is my business. So it's basically a bike shop out of a garage, a home garage, 2.5 car bump out kind of thing. So need to take this, and the shifter, it's like it's not pulling anymore or releasing. So it doesn't want to do anything. Therefore, I can't get the cable out yet. So I'll have to flush it all out and get it under hot water with ultrasonic cleaner. Ultrasonic cleaner is going to take all this gunk off. Also, it'll help with the heat of ultrasonic liquid, which I do I think it's like 1-to-7 ratio, 1% or 1 of simple green and the rest of it water and hot water. And we'll get that going, clean that out. I got a little basket over here of all the other goodies that I need to put in there. I use a 15-liter ultrasonic cleaner. That's big enough to put a crank set, like your standard crank, like this guy, in to submerge. I will pop the chain rings off of this guy to really get them clean. I usually use a wire brush when the chain rings are off to kind of get all that caked up, whatever grease they used back then, now, whatever, off of there. And the front shifter has the same problem. It's all, you know, in the back in the day, we thought these were just, you know, dead, right? And we would tell the customer, you got to get a new one. Turning out that the grease cleaned, you know, gunked up on there, and then we nowadays ultrasonic clean them and come back to life. I get about 90% of these back to life without any problems. Looking at the condition of the shifters on these, are pretty new-ish. This bike hasn't been ridden hardly at all. So 25 years of just sitting in storage. So this bike basically needs a really good high level detail clean, and basically it'll be almost, if not better than new after I'm done with it. So that being said, here we go. And got to unscrew the little cap thing here to get the cable out. It's the same problem as the other one, so I want to make sure I don't lose those. They'll end up on the floor. And these brakes are interesting because the house or the cable goes all the way up to the end here instead of the pivot. They only did that for a few years. I mean, good, not good or bad either way. But if this little cap thing breaks off, it is kind of a nuisance if it does, whatever. And you don't want to do these too hot because this black plastic and the ultrasonic cleaner will discard, get coloring. So I usually don't do scalding ultrasonic liquid with a degreaser on there, only just hot water afterwards as a flush. Hey, we got a couple people chiming in. Madigan guy, thank you for hanging out. Appreciate it. Hi to you too. Camden, what are you doing right now? Oh, you're part of the journey of refurbishing this Klein Adept race mountain bike. And Klein bikes, if you haven't been, well, they stopped producing them in the early 2000s. So if you're newer to the cycling world, Klein is one of the older, stable, high-end brands back in the day. And Gary Klein graduated at MIT, I think in the 80s. And he, with a grant, he was able to refine or process a multiple material aluminum. So it's granulate 2 process is what it's called. And with that, they were able to do a lot of, like, there's probably a pre-hydroform, but going that direction of aluminum. And he really did manipulations of shaping and so forth and the higher grade welds. And he is also known for his high level paint jobs, which is one of the main reasons I grabbed this bike used, because it has a blue to green rainbow-ish, not all the way rainbow coloring to it, with a deep glitter. I mean, these paint jobs were very expensive. The paint was very expensive, and the process was not cheap. So they had some really beautiful gems. So if you can find one that's in pretty good shape, I'm going to be doing some detailing to get off some scarring, clean up the scratches. I think the paint on most of this bike is pretty much, least if not close to perfect, to a point where I can get it to be that level of brand new-ish. Then putting a ceramic coating on top of that will add some extra process. We won't be able to get it and do that today. Basically, we're just going to show you how to take things apart, do some ultrasonic cleaning, maybe do a little bit of detailing, cleaning of the frame. The headset seems stiff. In other words, it's been too tight. These forks, we'll have to double check them, but you can kind of see it has, like I call, farm shed fuzz when I grew up on the farm. So, nor like the bark farmer, I actually did grow up on a farm for a short stint, And my grandfather had a farm in Brush, Colorado. And all the sheds and tool sheds and tractor sheds and all that, this weird buzz would get over everything. And it had a weird odor to it too. But in any case, that's what it reminds me of. So we need to get all that out. The bottom bracket feels pretty good. I might still pull that out just to clean it inside. It does, I wouldn't say have rust, but some of the cables did have a little bit of rust on them. So they were galvanized cables, not stainless. So there alludes, it may have seen a little bit of elements. Bought it from the original owner. She was getting it, well, she does a lot of riding, but she was getting adventure riding with her husband back in the early 2000s, and she realized it was not for her. So basically this bike sat in a shed in by Lookout Mountain, Colorado. It's west of Denver, Lookout Mountain, in kind of like Golden area. So their house is beautiful, overlooked Denver Metro. Oh man. So I have to get some leverage. I'm getting leverage. I usually use the floor. Pop these loose. So these are interesting 9-speed design back in the day. This is when they went to a 4-bolt pattern. And also, if you have the right tool, I think you can, well, this doesn't look like it, but some of them have like the XTR one has a tool you can fit in here, and that takes the whole spider off too. But nothing too scary. It's here just, instead of 5 bolts, it's 4 bolts. They are marked, so you got to make sure they're lined up. And it's a Hyperglide HG system from Shimano, which was very popular, worked really well. This is when this componentry was out when I was racing back in the 90s. Novice, not professional by any means. So if you're thinking I'm an old professional racer, sorry, gonna let you down on that one. But I did work on a lot of these. I did have more of the XTR componentry at the time. And Hyperglide really helped able to shift under really intense grinding, climbing scenarios. And that's where, mountain bike racing is probably the same today. I'm not sure, I have to double check, but most likely it is. To win is to pass people climbing. Because descending, everybody goes pretty fast, same pace descending. So you have to pick people off cross-country racing, going uphill. And any kind of edge for climbing, either gearing, traction, what have you, definitely would help you passing all those individuals back in the day. So Hyperglide shifting was pretty nice because it enabled you to grind those gears and shift under pressure to some degree. So you didn't lose your momentum trying to go up some of those climbs. And some of the technical climbs, were pretty intense. They are today still too, but just saying, trails were not as smooth as they are. Trail maintenance was not as much as this thing it is of today. So the reason why I'm taking the chain rings off, it makes it a lot easier for the ultrasonic cleaner and myself to clean into all of that. That is nasty gunk, 20-year-old grease that needs to come off. That's the spider there. And this is also when they went to the hollow tech, which means is the inside is hollow, and added the stiffness to it and lightweight. This is pretty darn lightweight. The left one, you can really tell. It's just like, compared to the four slotted ones back in the day, absolutely super light on that for sure. So we'll just move you over here a little bit. Sorry for the earthquake. And show you my trick of, these are some wheels I need to true up. get ready to list. So I do parts as well to sell. There it is. That's why there's a hook on there. Wire brush. Yeah, if you're worried about the finish on some of these like that, you might want to use a nylon brush. But I found on these, it doesn't really seem to scar the surface too much. But if you have a chainring that's black, painted, you may want to use the nylon. I do have nylon brushes, but this is more of a hardened. These are just kind of a matte finish to them, which is etched, which is not meaning to be painted, so I'm not fighting the paint. So it's not going to look super ugly. So that really helps gets that gunk off. So we're going to do the back side. So this, I'm not trying to get everything off. I'm just getting the clumpy stuff off. So when I put it in an ultrasonic cleaner, it makes those bits shine. It just gives it a little help. And it'll do all the rest. So I'm not sitting here. Back in the day, we'd have chemical tanks, and then we'd just do this in a chemical tank and take forever. This is just a quick courtesy swipe to get the big chunks off. These are directional, so you got to make sure when you put it back together, that's right. Easiest one is the tab on this guy. Goes on the inside of the crank arm, faces in, so you can line that up. Middle one here, they'll have a little notch, boom. And then you have to figure out which one's on inside and out. Small one has a notch too, like right here. That's going to line up with the crank arm as well. And then this one's pretty stamped evenly on both sides, but I would take note which one is on the inside, one's on the outside. Usually sometimes you'll see an indentation where that bolt goes in. This one may not be that. So these are not designed to be flipped. Have to go the different direction or anything. So they're designed to go in one way only. I've seen a lot of cranks in the days, even refurbishing lately a lot. And somebody's definitely either installed new chain rings or taken the chain rings off and installed them incorrectly coming back on. What that'll do, because the Hyperglide, it's hard to tell, but they have different rampings to them. There's little buttons here, help for the ramping of it, of the chain, and those are precisely placed when you're actually going rotation to help that chain, kind of like your shifting portion of the down direction. And it's more pronounced on some of the newer chain rings. This has the lower profile one. Also, a lot of people got miffed at us back in the 90s because by design, you'll have higher teeth and then it'll be a lower profile teeth. And they thought the worn out chain ring on a brand new bike, and they're like, no, it's designed to be that way. So there was some education to the technical part of that when this stuff came out. People really don't notice that or say too much anymore, I don't think. Maybe they do. But you are looking in the used bikes for that wear. And you're looking for it in a sense that you don't want the valleys to be too deep or elongated because your chain may be stretched and it's conforming, your chain rings are conforming to that stretched chain. And these look pretty good. This is a 22 tooth. Look how small that is. That's for getting up those monster hills. You will pedal slower or go slower on a bike with a chain ring like this than walking. But the idea is that you don't have to get off your bike except the feet. And I'm talking about directions on this, and you're like, well, crap. Which way is supposed to go what on the crank? And the inside, the middle ring, you really tell that has more of a bubble out to help the chain go up and down. And then you'll see numbers on the inside that goes on the inside of the crank. So on this one, it looks like visually it looks the same on both ways, but one side is stamped with the actual sizing. It's LG M22, M9 right there. Now it's going to go like this-ish, and you match the notches up. So if you want to know, that's how you do it. Get it back together. So my basket's getting kind of full, so I'll probably do a courtesy wash run on these, and then pull some of the parts out that just need to go through one cycle, then keep cycling down. You don't want to cook these too many times because this has a finish on it, and some of the newer stuff has finish off. It'll pull it off, so you want to be careful of that. Mindful. If you're worried about finishes coming off an ultrasonic cleaner, start at room temperature, not hot. So that'll protect the coating, but still get that ultrasonic benefit to it. So in any case, so let's take a look at the ultrasonic cleaner. So I got this buried over here. I put it by the sink so it's easier to flush out stuff. Because it has to drain. When you get old gunk in there, it drains. So there it is by the power cord. It's probably a whole electrical hot mess over here. So this is the ultrasonic cleaner. And I definitely have it plugged in the power. I gotta turn off the space heater so it doesn't pop the breaker. Just a second. It does pull a lot of juice. I mean, we have an EV vehicle too, so I can't run the ultrasonic cleaner and charge the car at the same time. So these do push a little bit of energy. This is from Beaver. There's also a Crew Works. I'll put links into, this is on the fly, so I'll put links below a little bit later. Or you can go to I Know a Guy Bicycles website, preferred partners, and you'll like on my Amazon store. You can get, most of these you get from Amazon. The Amazon store will have the Beaver brand, also the Crew Works, anywhere from 100 to 150-ish. I think a lot of them are on sale right now. And again, the 15-liter one gives you enough space to accommodate cranksets and submerging. And when I do wax chains and cleaning, if you need to isolate a bike part or chain, you can use jars, glass. The ultrasonic does go through the glass. And then you can use higher concentration of either simple green. This is rubbing alcohol here. Is what I do with my process of wax chains to get the manufacturer grease off is straight simple green for like only 5 minutes, and then rinse it with water. Then I submerge it in rubbing alcohol, running another 5 minutes to really kind of flush out all the gunk off of there. This is the Pro version, so it's a little more intense. Basically, there are little speakers underneath of it, and that's what's causing it to do the ultrasonic portion. And then I'll pull the chain out and let it air dry, let all the rubbing alcohol evaporate, and that gives you the best cleaning surface to wax that chain. You can do that to small parts too, that kind of thing. If you do have parts that have rust on them, you can put it in a jar of vinegar, and vinegar will eat finishing off, so if it's a black part, painted or whatever, it's gonna come right off. You can repaint those parts later. I've done that before. But in any case, that's what we're looking at. Let me go grab the basket of parts. So it is deep enough too to get most of that in there. This is room temperature. It hasn't heated up. It's at 13 Celsius, whatever. And that's the green right now. So it's pretty, after a couple cycles it'll be black. So that's why I have a little port here into the shop sink so I don't have to run hoses. And I had it over there too. Also, these produce a lot of sound, which you'll hear from the speaker. Once I move away, it'll be less and hopefully not be too interruptive as we're cleaning the frame while we're doing that. But I noticed I was starting to go a little more deaf on one ear. So not sure if it's that or too many punk rock concerts I went to, whatever the case may be. But you usually want to put these away from where you're standing a lot, right? So in any case, just, not sure if it really does that. I only do like 4 or 5 minute increments, and as you can probably hear, it makes a lot of noise. So hopefully that'll be less over here and less disruptive. So we'll put you back over here. So we'll give you, what are we doing on time? Okay, I can probably do another 30 minutes hanging out with me. So what we're gonna do is some pre-cleaning of the actual bike itself. I like to use Purple Power and dilute it. Not direct purple power. You can get purple power from Walmart. I get the big jug. And I dilute it about half and half. And what that does, gives you enough degreasing cutting. So, you know, I can spray this. Now, this is the only time I'll spray directly onto the parts, mostly off of it. When it has a drivetrain or disc or brakes or any of that, I usually rag first, then wipe. What you're trying to do is get a good layer of that gunk and dirt off of the bike and parts. And full suspensions have all these nasty little nooks and crannies to try to get to. And this is going to be a couple time process to clean, but it does help get the first layer of that fuzz off. And if you get an area which is really stubborn, we'll show it, we'll feature it here on posts of the fork. So simple, you know, the purple power is pretty strong, but it's not getting all that off. Here's the trick, and you got to be very careful with this, and you didn't hear it from me. Brake cleaner, paints, and some decaling. So you got to be careful where you use it and apply it. If you question that, use a little sampling in an area that you're not worried about, you know, it gets muffed up. Or there's another product out there called, it's from White Lightning, called Clean Streak. It's a lighter version of this. It does less damage, if no damage, to those, but it's like 8 times the cost. This is like $3. Simple Green's like 10 or 15 now. So this is the Poor Mechanics version. And this I don't spray directly. I spray in a drag in a very airy place where you're not puffing it. It is pretty strong. So either open area or a place where the fan is, and you can see, hopefully you can see, it just takes that stuff right off. So I only use it light and polite in very concentrated areas. Oh, it's missing your L off of the black. Oh, it's missing the B. Oh, boo. So it's a backlack fork. Yeah, back in the lack days. Ooh, I'm sniffing too much of that. Carb cleaner, brake cleaner, which one is it? I think carb cleaner and brake cleaner are about the same thing. Maybe a little bit different properties. I'm sure some automotive person out there is like freaking out. But that's how you get some of that stubborn gunk off. This is really good. If you get sticky stuff like stickers, you're trying to take a sticker off of a bike frame and you just can't get that gunk to come off. It does take a little bit of elbow. You notice I'm wearing gloves and also glasses to, you know, for protection is big time. You can technically unthread these out, but they are Loctite threaded in there with stuff, so it's better not to. This also is a place where I probably would use a nylon brush to cut that grease around the edges of it. You want these brake posts clean as a brake 101 for linear. If you don't know, you don't know. If you're part of the new disc brake generation. Also, you want these smooth. And once you get these clean and you're ready to prep, get that part back on there, you want to put some lithium or some, even a bearing grease on there. You want those, because that's where that pivot of the brake caliper, linear brake goes. And if there's obstruction on it, one side might not pull as well as the other, so it might be a bear to adjust. So you want those greased up and ready to go. Not necessarily inside the threads, but you want that to be a slick surface. This one, these are polished chrome surfaces on these. If you find some that are like dull, like these guys here, you can clean them up and kind of use a polish. The polishes up to give you the best pivot, less friction possible. Because less friction, the better, because you guys are more accurate, gets more feel, liveliness out of that brake post kind of thing. So, in any case. All right, let's check our parts. Go for a walk. Take a peek at what the ultrasonic cleaner has done. Hopefully it hasn't done too much. Oh my God, everything's melted. No, it's fine. So this is where I kind of do things in phases. Like the things that look pretty clean off of the bat, and I could finish with the rinse of hot water here. I'll do that. Parts that are like drivetrain parts, like the chain rings and the cassette, I'll keep in there just to keep cleaning it, because I'm not really too concerned about any kind of discoloring. This doesn't need to be washed anymore. So I kind of cherry pick the stuff I don't want it to stay in there too long. And I got this pretty loaded. So there's those brakes, Avid brakes, and they had some rust on them. So I might, I don't want to put this in vinegar because that black will come right off. So I'm gonna have to figure out what I want to do with that. The bolts are a little bit rusted. Maybe I'll take the bolts out and put them in a jar of vinegar. And let's see if this is, you can see how it's really cleaned up a lot of the gunk on that, but it's not come back to life just yet. I'm gonna do the hot water trick here real quick. So I'll set those aside. Brake calipers, I'll put in there for another wash or two. Front derailleur, still pretty gunky. So this is also too, you can use like a foam, which is not working. Or another kind of degreaser. Maybe this one will work. There we go. So, and that'll help aid of cleaning that. Sometimes I use that carb cleaner or brake cleaner and spray on some of those, just the drivetrain parts, not the stuff that you're not going to be worried about the finish on that. Dial cage. Quick leases don't need too much more cleaning than what I have. And I have a little extra strainer of a whole bunch of bits. Those are the small little bits there. I'll probably see if I can get that. Let that soak for a second while I try to rinse some of the stuff off. As you can see, like on this guy, I mean, look, that is just going to take a couple cycles to really clean off. Whoop, there we go. So, and also it's heating up. So once it gets up to more temperature, it does do its work a little bit better. So hot water is the key of clearing out those shifters. So we're going to rinse off the parts here. It's always good to rinse off the simple green, what have you. I'm in an arid place in Colorado, so I don't have to worry about surface rust too much. So I can just shake these off and let them dry. But if you're in more of a humid area, you want to definitely wipe these off. And I basically use a white detergent. You can use Dawn. This is Ajax. Get it from Walmart. It's just a kind of a soft brush clean. If I have some bits that need a little extra elbow to clean off. And again, I would have cooked these again because I didn't want the coloring of the crank arms to change. So that's why I pulled them. And they are, you can kind of tell this is darker already. Not that the ultrasonic cleaner did this. I think it's just the natural being outdoors or what have you. The little time it did change coloring from just UV. So got that. So the temperature's starting to warm up a little bit. So I have that cable port on this side here. And then I'm going to see if I can start getting this to, oh, it's starting to come to life a little bit. So with the hot water, and this, gloves again, so you're not burning yourself. Oh yeah, let's see, it's starting to cling to a point where, yeah, now I can get the cable out. Look at that. Boop. Oh yeah, Parker bikes. That's what I used to, that's my parents' shop in the 90s. 80s, 90s, early 2000s, like way early 2000s. That's where I learned how to do all this stuff at the beginning. So once you get that started to break free, it's coming back to life underneath the hot water, just flushing it out. Sometimes you have to do that a couple times, But this basically revived that shifter. Then I'll shake it out. So this one's the right shifter, it had 9 speeds, right? And it was like going nowhere. It was not catching nowhere at all. You can tell by the little indicator there. All right, let's see if we can get this one to come back to life. Get a little hot water in there, let it soak a little bit. Kind of work those shifters. Oh, I feel something catching. Oh, there we go. Trying not to burn myself so much. There we go, starting to flush out, and bam. There's the cable, comes right out. It was like in 2 years down, so it wasn't able the cable to come out. So by flushing that. So if you can't get the shifters off or don't want to take the shifters off the bike, you can try to pull the cable out, whatever. Then you can try to manipulate either using a hose or have a buddy hold the bike up and get in the sink, shop sink or shower to try to flush it out. But this makes it a lot easier if you take it off. But that is basically back to life. And you can take it a little further apart. I mean, you can take the casing off if you wanted. I'm just kind of lazy, but not neat. Well, it's necessary. It's more efficient. I'm not lazy, efficient. I'm efficient. But sometimes you can take this top off of the indicator if you need to clean up inside there. It has a little bit of water in there, but that'll evaporate out because I'm arid climate again, talking about that. But I shake these out, try to get as much water out of them, and when they dry, or you can use a blow dryer or whatever to blow it out, or air compressor. And once it's dry, then I shoot that foaming grease in there from not Pedro's. It's Triflow Superior Lube. So, just to prove that I got it, now it's going to all the gears, like so. Bam. There you go. I mean, you do have to worry about bits inside rusting. Most of the parts are stainless steel, but not all of them. Some of the springs are steel, so they will kind of corrode in there. And again, I'm in Colorado, very dry climate, but if you're in a wet climate, maybe you do want to pop that case off or blow it out with a compressor to get all that out of there. For me, all I have to do is a good shake and let it dry. And once it's dry, I can shoot some of that, the Triflow foam, and that'll actually, come back to life. And it's actually come back to life. Now it'll become efficient, and that lube is lighter, so it's not going to cake. It won't harden up over time. So it'll be more effective and keep working longer, that kind of thing. Oh, got to cook some more parts. Moving along, moving along. So what I do is I lay out little towels, and this helps drawing some of the water out. It's usually not super clean towels, but these are like your professional grade paper towels. You get them in a box. It's like box in a rag box, box rag, something like that. This is where shake it out, shake it. Get all those water droplets off as much as possible. And there you go. Like that. And on the shifters. Also the road shifters that do the same thing, but I open it up with my finger, the inside of it. There's more pockets of water collecting spots. And then just try to get as much of that out. Again, you can use a compressor, hair dryer, whatever. I can use a heat gun, but be careful. You don't want to melt anything either, so keep in mind on that. Man, all right. So those are still cooking. So with the rear derailleur, you can completely disassemble these as much as you want. And there's a lot of videos out there to do that. All I do is I take the jockey pulleys off. You see that caked up grease? Same thing. Wire brush, get it all off, then I put it in a little basket. I'm gonna wait till these are clean first before I attack this guy. Same kind of thing, not too hot of water. A lot of these rear derailleurs from Shimano have a plastic coating over them, and you cook them too hot and that plastic coating looks like you just melted skin off of something. And either you go for all the way and get all that off, or you just go with the cooler temperature, and then you don't have to worry about it, cooler temperature. But with the combination with the simple green, it will still get a lot of this gunk out of there for the most part. But you definitely want to get these jockey pulleys. I mean, they used some nasty stuff back then, and probably still today. You can pre-treat it with the carb cleaner, just kind of help break some of that stuff off when you hit it, and the ultrasonic cleaner. It's usually a trick on that. So all right, so once you clean a section of the frame, we'll just do a few minutes of frame 101 of cleaning and possible polishing. So for you at home, we got like back again, Purple Power, right? Once you get that cleaned off, the car detailers, you want to use water to rinse off any kind of contaminants and, any other excess dirt. Everything's light and polite on this. Then you take a cleaner rag, or most of my rags are like these fiber cloths. And the dirtier ones I rewash. So rewash them in the washers for multiple stages. So you let it air dry or you just take it off. What you're doing is trying to get most of that contaminants off of there. So you can go like completely nutso and go with a clay bar from various products. Lithium makes it, clay bar, you can try to get that surface. So many different angles on this bad boy. That's going to be really tough to do on something like this. What I do is 3 processes. I use like a scratch and swirl on this, more scratched areas. Kind of evens to smooth the area out. Usually want to use that as a hand buffer. I use a tool because I'm, efficient. And they do have specific pads for that. Also, I use a Dremel tool. You'll find that on my Amazon store too. And these pads you can find there too. Don't know if they make these anymore because they realize they take out too much material and they freak people out. So this is the scratch and swirl from Adams. Light and polite. I only do this not everywhere. It's like only where I see scratches that needs the clear coat to be corrected a little bit. So like right here, there's a line. Boom, that's all you need to do. Usually you just do it by hand because, again, I'm efficient, not lazy. So I hit a couple of the areas that seem to be, sometimes I have to go back to those areas. Then, again, find another cloth. I try to color code these so I don't get confused. So orange goes with orange. Blue goes with the blue liquid, you'll see here in a second. And I use, fluorescent for the white polish. So you got that. Then I get a different pad, which is a blue pad, which is for the compound. Compound is this stuff here. This is supposed to help correct the paint. A little dab will do you. And again, when you're looking at ratio to cars to bikes, you only need like 1/3 of the product quantity. So a bottle of ceramic coating, which is a 16-ounce bottle, will last me about 10 to 15 frames, depending how much I spill. So it'll do a car a couple times. It'll do a multiple. So in other words, what I'm saying, you get one bottle, it's going to last your whole fleet of bikes, and it'll probably last you a majority of the time you are cleaning your own bikes. So what the compound does is it cleans the surface of the paint, kind of corrects it, not as much as the clear coat, but this is the one you want to go over the whole bike, frame, all the parts you want to get. Like so, and then you spend the whole rest of your day trying to figure that out. And I go to the blue rag, knock that down. So you'll start getting a nice smooth surface and clean. and free from scratches or any discoloring or any kind of, you know how stuff falls over in the garage and wipes up against the garage door or something like that? It will leave a streak on there. And that's where cleaning this up. All right, then the last bit for the polishing portion anyway is the polish. So there's a lot of different products out there in which you could use. You use only like a one type product. Depends how crazy you want to get. This is high level detailing here. So this is what you get. In any case. And I'm coming up on my cutoff time. I have meetings and meetings, you know. This is the fun part. Then I go sit down and have meetings and talk to people. In any case, okay. So pad here. Just like in a car, you go up and down slowly. And sometimes the polish will take up some of those areas you may have missed, and clean, you know, for scratches and so forth. And this is, you know, nice and small because I can get different angles and all that. That's why I like these versus the big ones, and they're just harder to use and they're heavier. This is pretty light, so I don't get as tired. Yeah, I'm a wimp. Anyway, then I find my super nice high-end, super clean cloth, polishing cloth. Then, bam. And that is better than you'll see it new. I mean, the high quality shine on that, it's like mirror almost. So what I do on top of this, I wipe it down with a clean rag with rubbing alcohol. That takes off any kind of cleaning agents, polishing agents. And then I put a layer of ceramic coating on there. And lithium you can stack. So you put it on there, wait 10 minutes, knock it down by the directions, wait 4 hours or 24 hours, and do another layer on top of that. Do the same process again. Not the rubbing alcohol, just stacking the ceramic coating. So you get like 2 or 3 layers on it. The reason why I like doing that is there's all these little, you know, crevices and so forth. Even if I did it 3 times, some of those little areas might get only hit once because maybe I just missed it. So in any case, that at least gets your frame supremely coated. When it's coated like that, water has a hard time sticking to the paint, so it draws up in a lot of microbeads, and dirt as well, and it'll shed off the paint. After that, it's easy to clean, gives you a little extra UV protection. After about 6 months or so, and you want to wash your bike, rinse it off, and you know this thing is the beads are flattening out. Then you use a product called Color Crush, which is a revivant. It revives, it has some of the SiO2 properties back into it, so it refreshes that ceramic coating. So realistically, you only have to do the hard detailing, the hard ceramic coating, maybe once every few years, and then you can follow up with that ceramic booster, as you will, to keep the frame good. The hard lift is up front, but it'll last a long time. The product usually lasts on the vehicle for, like this particular product, 9 to 12 months. This is a little more, a bike goes inside, it's a little more babied when it's not being used. Therefore, you may not need you can probably get that ceramic coating to last a couple years. They do make a high level ceramic coating, which is very expensive, but you can do it yourself. And that's like a 5 to 10 year on a car. Which should pretty much be the last time you need to do the full hard level of ceramic coating. Then you can just do the refresher off of that. But in any case, all right, let's take a peek at the ultrasonic cleaner here. So that's frame cleaning and polishing 101. And I have a plan.